All right, we're going to get started. There's an illegal meeting over here. Excuse me.
This is another meeting.
Another
We're
meeting.
having another meeting.
Another illegal meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, many of us have used these microphones at another meeting, and the audience also, when you come up, do not get close to it. It's a wonderful piece of equipment, but you don't need to get too close. And if you do, it squeaks and it bumps and everything else. So,
Did you tell me we're ready?
pardon me? Yes, yes. Well, that might not be working.
Oh, is that working yet?
The microphones are working, everything else is working. All right, so. Just power it up on your, all right, we're going to call the meeting to order. Administration and Public Works Committee, call to order. First item of business is approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of August 12th. May I have a motion?
Second.
I'm going to call, we have a sign-in sheet. And also, we have a new member of the Administration Public Works team, and that is Janella Harden. Janella, would you like to stand up? Janella is taking Phil Bogger's place and is the administrative assistant secretary for Public Works.
No,
for
administrative services.
Administrative
And CFO.
services.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You know, if you have any questions after the meeting's over, you didn't remember what someone just asked. All right. So first item of business is public comments. Junaid Rizki is the only person signed up. If anybody else wants to speak, raise your hand. Okay.
Stay back. All right, I'll stay back. We'll try it. It's a little hard though.
Or you
right.
can just put it up like this,
All
or
right.
put it down like this.
Oh, I see. It goes down.
Just turn it off.
All right, that's fine. We'll see what happens. I want to find out, several weeks ago, I was told that electrical contractors' trucks were out at
Could
the
you
Harley.
give your name and
Oh,
address?
Junaid Rizki, 2784 Sheridan.
Thank you.
I was told several weeks ago there were several electrical contractors trucks out at the Harley Clark Mansion for several days. As we know from the code analysis the city paid for, there were many electrical problems in that building and merely due to maintenance. Now I'm trying to really find out, did the city pay for this work and authorize this work, or did the Arts Center authorize this work? Because under the terms of the lease, the Arts Center, I believe, would be responsible for such work. I'd like to know from city officials if who authorized the work and if the city was involved in this. The issue is, as you all know, and aldermen all know, the city can authorize work employees can authorize work under $20,000 without you approving it. So if a city employee did do that and it was work the Arts Center is responsible for, then we have a bit of a problem. So I would like the council to investigate this rather than for me to investigate it, because I can start by filing FOIAs and doing things. And as the other thing I really like to know, given the code analysis and what we see in the code analysis, have the fire department and building department been through that building to really look at the real issues in that building? Because the Art Center operates a kiln and a metal shop and also has a lot of solvents in the building. And I'd like to know really if the city's really gone through this building carefully. Here again, this has got nothing to do with the condition of the building, but really with the operation of the building. So here again, I just am asking, did the city authorize work? And was that work the city was responsible for or not responsible for under the terms of the contract? And if it wasn't responsible, the Arts Center needs to be given a bill. The city should not be absorbing that money. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager, will you make sure that, I don't know if you want to answer that now? Okay, great.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, good evening. We have not done any work at the Harley Clark Mansion. We are coming to the Human Services Committee next Monday evening with a report which will cover many of the issues Mr. Rizki raised. And I know that the Lighthouse Landing Park District has been doing work on the lighthouse itself, so perhaps that's what they were there for, the electrical contractors, but nothing regarding the city.
So, did you hear that? Okay. Do you believe it?
Doesn't need the fourth.
All right. First item under Administration Public Works, Evanston City payroll through August 11, $3,118,740.84. Payroll 8/25, $282,882,062.15. And I'm going to include the city bills in the amount of $6,412,612.87. Credit card activity is $149,281.35. Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, any questions? Anybody have any questions? No? Okay, all right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item, Alderman Grover, would you like to introduce that?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of parking garage and access revenue control contract with Data Park Incorporated for a total cost in 2013 of $27,750, funding to come from our parking fund.
Second.
Any discussion? Alderman Braithwaite, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next,
A3.2, approval of the rock salt contract extension with Morton Salt. Staff recommends the City Council approve one-year contract extension for the purchase of 8,000 tons of rock salt from Morton Salt at the cost of $60.61 per ton for a winter season, a total of $484,880. Move approval.
Second, I have a question.
yes, Alderman Grover.
Director Robinson, how were we on budget for our, it says according to the memo, we were over budget for salt. Were we over budget for generally snow maintenance and removal?
No,
last winter?
actually, our personnel costs were just under budget at this point. We don't know if we'll end the year that way. Depends on how mild of a December we have. The rock salt, the chemical dollar budget also covers the salting of the sidewalks, which is a different kind of salt. So, and we actually had a lot of sidewalk because it doesn't take a significant quantity of snow, to make the sidewalks in the business districts areas slick, that we have to address those. So we had a little bit more a need for that, and that kind of drove our cost up as well.
Thank you.
Director Robinson, didn't I see in the memo, the background material, which I'm not looking at right at this minute, that some of this money is going to be taken from the 2014 budget?
That's correct. So
We
we're.
haven't passed that yet.
That's correct, but we have to, salt is purchased by season, by winter season, and it spans 2 years. It was a little easier for us to do when we were on our old fiscal year format, but in this new year, I mean, we still had to cover March and April under the old, so.
Okay, I understand. All right, Alderman Braithwaite, any comment? No. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next, Alderman Braithwaite.
Sure. Item A3.3, approval for Arbortech fungicide purchase from Rainbow Tree Care Scientific Advancements. Staff recommends the approval of the sole source purchase for 82 gallons of Arbortech fungicide for elm tree injection program from Rainbow Tree Care Scientific Advancements at $385 per gallon for the total purchase amount of $31,570. Move for approval.
Any discussion? Paul, do you want to say anything about this? I know people in the community are interested in our progress and the effectiveness.
Certainly. Paul D'Agostino, Assistant Director of Public Works for Parks and Forestry. The Arbortect is used to inject all of our public elm trees in the city that are over 10 inches in diameter. The city crews are doing it this year. We will have a huge increase next year when we have to contract out a number of over 2,000 of the trees. We are still above 98% effective. We've had a little bit of an uptick last year and this year, but nothing of significance. We've gone from about 99.5% to 98.5%. I'm pretty sure the weather has had an effect. We're also looking into the exact timing of the injections, whether they're all in the third year of their cycle or whether they're earlier in the cycle. But we're looking at that. Sure, you're welcome.
I remember when we brought over any other comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of recommending the Arbortech purchase to the council, say aye.
Aye.
And if you don't turn your microphone on, nobody will be able to hear you. Next item is approval of a contract with O'Hara Construction for the 2013 Police Headquarters interior improvements. Base bid is $48,742.84, and this is an Evanston company.
Second.
Any comments? Okay. Hearing none. All those in favor of recommending to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Alderman Grover?
As to A 3.4, I move approval of a contract with O'Hara Construction.
No.
Oh, we just did that. Oh,
A4.
never mind. A4, thank you. I move action on Resolution 53R13, accepting a maximum award amount of $46,171 from Age Options to fund a congregate senior meal program at both the Levy Center 5 days a week and Fleetwood Jourdain Community Center for 1 day a week.
Move approval, second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay.
A4.1.
8.4.1, approval of the 2013-14 renewal of a contract award to Catholic Charities Lunch and More for Senior Meals Program. For Fleetwood, the Senior Meals Program at Levy and at Fleetwood Jourdain, not to exceed the amount of $4.36 per lunch, and for the total meal program cost of $44,868. Move approval.
Any discussion? All right, this is the, this is using the grant, the other was the
Absolutely.
grant. Okay. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, Alderman Braithwaite. A5.
Ordinance 880-13, amending the hotel tax definitions. Staff recommends City Council adoption of Ordinance 88-0-13. The city's current hotel motel tax language contained in Section 3-2-4 does not contain a definition of operator or person. The amended ordinance clears up the responsibilities, the ambiguity in the city's hotel motel tax code and associated tax collection responsibilities for online travel companies. Move for approval.
Any discussion?
Yeah.
I have a question about this. Is Grant here? Oh, there, I'm sorry, I can't see. Are we going to join the class action? Because I think we should. Group of communities are going to try and,
Right.
Yeah, Madam Chair, members of the committee, grant for our Corporation Council, I'm still in the process of evaluating that. I wanted to gather a little bit more data and also figure out if the defendants had filed a notice of appeal relative to the court action, just to get a little bit more insight. So I'm gathering some data. I've docketed myself for a response date back to Alderman Grover. So what I'm planning on doing is maybe I can come back in a subsequent AP&W meeting, give a brief status update relative to that. There may be some merit in joining. I just want to vet it a little bit further.
just on the surface, it looks like we should, but
Yes.
I understand. Are the like the Expedia, et cetera, are they fighting this at all?
I'm not sure if they've filed a notice of appeal of Judge Sepro's order. I think there had been a revision to the order, so I've got to do a little bit more due diligence and find out where it is in the process.
So there's significant dollars to start collecting or even recouping?
There may be. I'm still in the process of gathering that
But I
information.
mean, I'm just trying to figure out how much. All right, thank you. I think this is a real exciting thing. Alderman Grover.
I think it's kind of interesting. This is just another way in which our regulatory structure still has yet to catch up with the way we do business, which a lot of it is online through, the online hotel bookings, and we're just in little ways catching up. So thanks, Grant, for bringing this to us.
Well, but I mean, the fight has been going on a long time about internet tax collection. I mean, just a long time. All right. All those, any other comments? All those in favor of recommending this to the council, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Do we need to suspend the rules on this, Grant? Do you want us to do that? No? No rush? No rush. All right, next ordinance 90-013, the proposed revisions to Title III, Chapter 4, Liquor Control Regulations. This is for introduction. This has to do with a variety of ways of making it more comprehensive and user-friendly and et cetera. Do I have a second? Second?
Second.
Second, okay. I have some questions about this. When you go to a bar in Evanston, and can you bring children into that bar? People who are underage?
As the owner of children?
Yeah.
I've been told that my children cannot sit at the bar, but they can be in
In the bar.
In the bar.
There is no specific, by way of context, there are some jurisdictions that specifically post signage and say there shall be no minors past this certain point. In terms of the regulatory structure that currently exists under city code and as a matter of administrative forms or anything, we do not have anything currently in the code that gets to that level of detail. I think that essentially it's a situation that really focuses upon the individual owner's dram shop insurance and whatever kind of exclusions or inclusions may be in their policy relative to their liquor liability. If it's a policy determination by this body to seek to get into some more detail and explicitly get into that, law department certainly stands by to go that route.
Well, the concern I have is when we issue one-day liquor licenses to parties in especially public buildings, specifically public buildings. I'm not sure I understand the need for a liquor license for a party for a 6-year-old birthday party, or a party for a 15-year-old, or a Sweet 16 party. I just don't understand that. And we do. We issue those, and I don't see that there are any controls placed on that. I know if there's a big party, they have to have security, but I don't know if it's the security's obligation to, check IDs of people who are drinking who are obviously underage.
Well, there's always, even with one-day licenses, there is the requirement that there be BASSET training, and that in terms of the implementation issue, that is a separate piece. Obviously, in the spirit of local control, this jurisdiction has the ability to set whatever limits it deems necessary pursuant to home rule in the Illinois Liquor Control Act. So as I sit here today, those are issues. There hasn't been any specific problem that's been raised, but you're obviously raising a point of concern on a going forward basis.
Also, you don't have to get a one-day liquor license if you're not selling the liquor, is that right?
Correct.
So that's a real problem that I have. A 2-year-old birthday party, a 1-year-old birthday party where people are selling liquor at their party. So I just think that it's something that we should look at. If the event were in a private home, I wouldn't want to intrude, but I think in public buildings, we ought to think about that. And when is the right time to do that?
Well, if I'm listening to you, Alderman Rainey, Chair Rainey, I think we can put this matter before the Liquor Control Board, start the process of hearings at that venue, and also bring it back to council as needed. So there's something that the law department will certainly follow up on.
I have a problem with it. Alderman Holmes?
Are we really?
Oh, wait, would you mind, Alderman Grover?
Just following the same thing, are we really clear that maybe they understand that they don't have to have a license to, if they're just
away?
having a birthday party or a wedding reception or whatever, that they don't need the license?
But the point is, they have a birthday party for a 2-year-old.
I understand that.
And they are selling liquor.
Well, but I don't know that they are.
I
I'm
know
just
that,
asking-
no,
but I'm
I'm
asking the
talking
question.
about incidents that I know about.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
but I'm just wondering
Yeah.
because, I think that could be cleared up early.
Does the application say?
Say that? Yeah,
if you're
whether you're going to
selling
sell or
liquor?
not, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I would think.
If you're
it
gonna
would,
sell.
yeah. Alderman
Okay.
Grover?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Ferrari and I exchanged emails this afternoon about getting a copy of the red line version of this so I could really look at what the
Yeah,
revisions
that's-
were.
Yes, and I apologize.
Hard copy is best, or
I've bounced an email version that I can distribute to the members of this committee straight away. What happened was, in the red line, one of the transmissions that I sent didn't capture all the red lines. So another lesson learned with respect to track changes on a Word document.
it's
Well,
happened
it
to me
also
many
gives,
times before.
it also gives us an opportunity to talk about it more.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
think we should hold this in committee.
This is
yeah.
for introduction, maybe in the next.
Well, hold it in committee,
I will follow up directly, and we'll get. I do caution you. There's a lot of lines, and you tend to blur together when you're starting to look at all these lines. But I will get that to the committee directly.
Well, when you get it to us, will you go over with us the consolidation of the various classes? I think that's going to be a key.
Well, the consolidation,
So,
I can
great, yeah.
speak to that very briefly right now, Chair Rainey. What we tried to do conceptually was reorder the sequencing of all the licenses to have a better flow. Because what has happened since 1972, when liquor code started, was it was very reactive. Every business model that came in line was assigned just a straight alphanumeric system. So what we tried to do is take all of the retail sales components and move those to the front of the code. So, for instance, if you have a specialty cafe, which used to be the Central Street Cafe, that was going to be A. Then you have all the core establishments that flow off of that. Then when we have these situations that speak to the new and exciting business models, such as the brew pub and the distilleries and the micro distilleries coming in, we put those at the middle of the code. And then I built in some surge capacity for M, N, and O. Those are reserved because I'm sure that there's going to be new business models that come. And then at the back of the code, you have more of these specific non-retail oriented establishments, such as the veterans organizations and things of that nature. So what I'll do is I'll put together a synthesis of all of that and get that to the committee in the next discussion. But overall, what we tried to do is have the heavier business/retail uses at the beginning of the code, such that when a licensee comes in and says, what class do I have to apply for, they can go to the beginning and it's not hopscotching all over the place.
Excellent. Yes, Alderman Grover, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Farr, can the code actually maybe include a chart with a handy guide, like at a glance, here's your liquor code for these classes of licenses, similar to the way we do with the definitions within the code?
One of the things that I'm looking to do is on the forms, and that's why we have a proposed January 1 date, is I'd like to have that abstract prepared. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be into the code amendment, but on the forms going forward and as a handout, and we can post it on the website. We can try and get this conceptual framework on paper out on the web, such that every prospective applicant has a reference, so it's a lot more user friendly.
For those applicants who might go directly to the code itself, maybe there's still a way of incorporating, the schematic of how it's organized, more than just the table of sections. If it works for the way we codify
Yeah,
That would be handy, I think,
I can
yeah.
run with that suggestion and see what I can come up with
Only if
that
it
makes
works.
sense to the
Yeah,
fire.
yeah, so at a
We
glance.
do it
you
with
could-
zoning. I mean,
Right,
you want
right,
to
in
open
the
a
same
this,
way.
you know, just look.
Really like a desktop reference. If
Right.
you want a liquor license for this, then go to this section.
However, are we tinkering with the fees?
No. That's,
asked that
that,
already.
fees and taxes are a separate discussion and a policy matter best left with the council, but that may be something that, you know, as always, the liquor code is an organic document, so what I did, at least tried to do at this first pass is revise it, consolidate it, make it hopefully more reader-friendly, more user-friendly, but all those other policy issues are still out there if the council wishes to pick those up.
And I think,
Code refers to fees. I mean, the code in the license.
Right, those fees, and to be honest, where those fees are generated, again, that goes back to the ad hoc, you know, piecemeal evolution. So those fees are grounded in realities that are much different than presented today. So if those fees wish to be revisited by the mayor and the council, that's certainly something that can be looked at.
That wasn't my concern. My concern is that if we're consolidating, some of the things we're consolidating have various fees attached to them. I mean, not all bars, I mean, they're not all the same.
Well, the classes that no longer appear, for instance, a club. We haven't had a club for a number of years, so
Have a club?
that's
What
correct.
about the American Legion?
Well, that American Legion is a specific class relative to a veterans organization. It's not a club.
Oh, I knew that.
So the things that were consolidated does not mean that there's a revenue loss.
When we see it, it'll be easier to understand.
and I
Alderman
think
Grover,
the
sorry.
reorganization, the clarification of the code language would make it easier not only for businesses to work with, but for us to work with when we start tackling things like consideration of fees or adding new licenses, things like that. It's just
I mean,
going to be a
just
much
on-
more workable document.
Just on grocery stores, I mean, we have 3 or
Right,
4 or
right.
5, you know, based on size, which is good. I mean, it helps, you know. We were very careful over the years with liquor, because of course liquor was going to destroy the town, so we had to be very careful. And look, it worked, because the town didn't get destroyed, so. All right, we're going to hold, are we going to, I think we should hold it. I think we've got a lot. Do you need us to introduce it right now?
January
It'll
1st
come
is
back.
our
Yeah,
target
we'll
date.
still have time, and
Yeah.
that date, if that date has to move, it'll move. That's fine.
And we can always suspend rules if we take too long. All right, could I have a motion to hold this? Okay. Just for additional information, not for any objection. Okay. Okay, who's next on here? Is that it? Did we get through it all? We did? No. Banner policy. Director Robinson, would you like to discuss the banner policy with us?
Yes. Good evening. Suzette Robinson, Director of Public Works. We wanted to talk a little bit about our existing banner policy and make some recommendations to change some of the procedures. And part of what is driving this has to do with our exposure of our employees, as well as the potential liability that exists with the banners themselves in terms of the maintenance. This is a program that is costing the city to put on. So what we have listed in the memo is some things that we would like you to consider for changes. And if you found those acceptable, we would go back and then draft an ordinance to cover the changes. Bless you. So one of the first things we wanted to take a look at is restricting the time period in which banners are on display. And a lot of that has to do with if we can keep them up only during, I guess, good weather conditions is part of it. And also the times when we're not having banners displayed is also a very high maintenance time for us in terms of snow removal and storm debris cleanup, et cetera. So we're proposing that banners only be displayed between July 1st and October 31st. We also, I'm sorry, what did I say? July. Okay, June 1st, thank you. June 1st to October 31st, which is a 6-month period. And then we would limit the display time to a maximum of 3 months with a 3-month renewal. So that means that only for that time period, that 6-month time period, would you be allowed to display banners. And the other thing that we want to do is restrict the banners from primary routes that have 4 lanes of traffic. Ridge Avenue, Green Bay in particular, that's a very dangerous street for us to even pick up garbage on. So hanging the banners, I don't know if you've observed the large traffic backup that has resulted as putting up a banner on Green Bay Road, and we've had traffic backed up almost to Dunkin' Donuts trying to install one banner at the corner of Lincoln and Green Bay. So, and the other thing we wanted to look at is to only, to restrict banners to just city-sponsored events or city-funded banners. And what that would mean is any banners that were purchased as a part of economic development funds will be included. Any city banners that were purchased by ward CDBG funding, any city-sponsored events, those types of banners would be covered, and that would be the extent of the banner program.
Just to start off, I'm thinking primarily of St. Francis Hospital that is on Ridge Avenue. They do beautiful banners. Who puts those banners up on Ridge Avenue when St. Francis Hospital has them?
We do.
We do. I'm going to suggest that we alter that policy, that on Ridge Avenue for a major institution like, I don't even care, at Northwestern, the hospital, Evanston Hospital, St. Francis Hospital, maybe, let's say Rotary or the school, that if they waiver any liability and they pay to have, there must be companies out there who put up banners, right? If they want to put up their banners and they use those as an economic development tool to bring attention to their services, then we ought to allow for that. I think maybe the thing is that the city should go out of the banner business, except, as you said, for economic development projects. But if a community group or an organization wants to put up banners, we can control when they do it. But I don't like banners, frankly, but a lot of people do, and I think that's way too restrictive. And if you want to ban Green Bay Road, I can understand that, but not Ridge.
I also wanted to point out that was just one aspect when I talked about the use of city employees, and I'm going to speak a little bit. I'm going to go too far into the legal matter, and I would prefer if Mr. Farrar would speak to the fact that there's still exposure when the banner's attached to our light pole. Is that correct? So even if somebody else puts it up, we're still.
Well, I want to hear about all the deaths and injuries and et cetera that have occurred from banners falling off the pole. Go for it.
Chair Rainey, I don't have any hard statistics relative to that, but I will remind the chair and the committee, obviously given the environment where litigation is brought against the city for any host of reasons, from a prudent risk management standpoint, there is always a contingency or a hypothetical that has not yet arisen that we wouldn't may result in liability. I have seen in the past, it's obviously the city of Chicago, not the city of Evanston, but I have seen in the past in the city of Chicago when I've driven around, banners coming down and obstructing traffic. And that is a situation that no one knows if it will ever be replicated, and it's obviously an anecdotal event from my own experience, but I have seen it happen. And in that situation, in that context, the first entity that will appear on a caption lawsuit will be the city. So what staff has tried to do is to try and determine, given the standards that are in place, given the state of the law right now, and given the fact that the city is within its rights to regulate a designated public forum, a light pole, a street sign, it's a designated public forum if we choose to make it so, and we also can regulate it if we want to. There's no right to unlimited access for these, poles. So I think, again, it's an operational issue that the director is much more capable and equipped to deal with and speak to. But from a risk management standpoint, there's always going to be a situation where it happens, and we're just trying to be prepared for that.
Thank you. I appreciate both the risk management and the operational issues with the banners. I hate to see them, though, disappear from Green Bay Road. I think the Central Street Business Association has just invested in all new banners as part of our
On Green Bay? Are they
business
on Green
district
Bay?
Merchants, Great Merchants Grant. I think that was what part of our grant was for.
Are they on Green Bay?
On
They're on
Central Street, but they have been in the past along Green Bay, around the corners on Green Bay Road, too.
But those are going to be exempt because the city paid for them.
Oh, would they? I mean, if the city is funding
Economic
the
development.
economic development banners through the business associations or districts, then we'd still be able to put them up. And the other part about losing them to Green Bay Road is it's just such a great visibility from the commuter trains and all the people who are traveling past our business districts, and I think the banners are great advertising. But Director Robinson, I do understand, I don't want to imperil any of our employees installing the banners, or I'm very sensitive to unnecessary traffic backups, especially during busy times. Maybe there's a way of scheduling that, the banner maintenance, so it doesn't hit prime time. But I like the idea that our business districts could still put up banners.
Alderman Braithwaite?
She hit on the question I was going to ask. Excuse me. How would this have an impact on business districts that would pay for their banners, or any businesses that would want to pay for a banner? Would they then have to
You mean part of the
conform to?
Great Merchants Grant? That
Yeah.
part of that?
Well, the West End, but there are other businesses that said that they, particularly Chicago Home and Chicken and Waffles, is in the process right now of creating banners. So I'm trying to figure out, Dempster is a 4-lane highway. Yeah. And in addition to that, I think they've approached Allegra signs to hang them. So I'm just asking the question, under this new policy, how would they be affected? Excuse me.
Sure. The answer is yes, they would be affected, and for two standpoints. One, that portion of Dempster is actually IDOT's route and not ours. And then also that would be a type of use that would be restricted under our proposal. It would only be business district
What did you
sign.
say? It wouldn't?
It would be restricted. It would be restricted because that is a private. That's a private advertising on our streetlights.
So if you travel, yeah, it is a business.
No. It's not a business district sponsored. It's a business, yes. So it's when it's a private, it's advertising is what it ends up becoming. And so, you have to pay for advertising wherever you put it up. And so they would still have to apply for a banner application, and they would, but if, and I don't know whether IDOT would even allow the banners on Dempster. That's a question that we would have to ask, because there's a certain amount of.
So question,
Yes.
Dempster and Hartree, There are West Evanston business banners posted on both sides of the street
Right now.
right now.
And that's side up.
Yeah.
Does that
Did we
go
ask
all the
them?
way to the lake? Or
To Ridge, to Ridge.
just
And
to
on the
Ridge?
west
Yeah.
Well, then also, yeah, farther up.
And also on the west side in Skokie, I mean, there are dual signs and flower pots. They go all the way.
So
Will you
usually,
come back with some of these answers?
Yes, yes, yes. Well, I mean, the way the policy stands, I've answered that question. We're proposing not to do private advertising on our street posts using our employees or for any other purpose. That's the proposal. But however, this is a part of a discussion to kind of develop an ordinance that everybody can live with. But also, I wanted to one of the other discussions that we talked about from a legal standpoint have to do with content and who can and cannot. So once again, that's a question for Grant to discuss even further. We can right now, if our banners are open, anybody can put any message. We have no restrictions. There are no restrictions. The only way we can, I don't want to use the word control, restrict the content, yes, manage the content, thank you, manage the content of our banners is if they're only city-sponsored banners.
Can we just get these two? Alderman Grover.
and
then Alderman-
one of my other concerns, I misunderstood from the memo that it was to October 31st. I think it said October 3rd, so in my mind, I counted out 4 months, but it's really 5 months then, June, July, August, September, end of October, so 5 months. And I wondered if we could do, that you display it for a 5-month season, option to renew for the next 5-month season. It's, yeah, so less paperwork, less hassle, that it's for a whole 5-month banner
And it
season.
is supposed to be 6 months. I'm sorry, it's supposed to
I'm
be
sorry.
May, it's supposed to be May 1st, May
So
1st.
May-
May 1st was the
okay.
right, which
So
is the
this-
end of snow and everything. It was May 1st. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
And October 31st, you're starting to get into some.
I still wonder if we could do
Season and-
6-month increments of banner display, just to minimize the installation, maintenance, and so forth, hassle, and then renew for a second season.
Alderman
If the
Holmes.
banners are lasting 2 years.
Alderman Holmes.
Oh, I was just going to say to Alderman Brathwaite, don't you think maybe you ought to talk to the West End Group and maybe include that part as a part of that business district? Because I can think of all the businesses that are along there, and then you move up just a little bit farther east, and then you have Budget, is it Budget? Right on the corner of U-Haul, it's U-Haul, and then right across the street,
Well, I was going to ask, in terms of Erie that's opening
Oh,
up,
Erie's
I
gonna
would
be
think
there,
that
yeah.
we'd want to do something special for that group.
have Dreams
Is-
is there already.
Yeah. So my question, Director, are you finished with your question? I'm sorry.
No, I just was wondering if you wanted to reach out to
Thank
them
you.
to maybe include that as a part of a business district.
Director Robinson, has there been a number of incidences in the past, whatever, that's caused you to take another look at this issue? Something that we should be aware of?
The main issue that was driving it for us is cost. If you remember, I know it's hard to remember, as Chief Kleiber will point out, this has been a discussion item. We talked about this a while ago, and you asked me to come back, and then we talked about it again. And so the point is that it cost us $210 to put up, that, and that's an expense that we're doing for private advertising for a business. So that's where, because it came up originally as a part of a budget discussion, when we were looking at increasing the fees to at least cover our cost, and then also to charge for advertising.
So is this?
So it was a revenue generation, is how the discussion began.
So downtown Evanston, they utilize private contractors,
That's correct.
and we can utilize private contractors anywhere around town.
We can have the applicant use them.
Right.
Yeah.
So why is the city then paying for private businesses, why are we paying to advertise for private businesses.
Because that's what our existing program allows.
That's why we're here.
Okay.
But you're getting, see, that was my original question. I have no problem saying, we're not spending $200 anymore, Paul. That's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I agree.
But there's another issue, there's another layer here, and that is the legal issue and the liability issue, which I hadn't really paid much attention to. City manager, please.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I think Director Robinson covered some of the issues that brought this. The other fact is that the city very generously funds lots of banners. And those dollars, as many of you know, are scarce resources to charge. We're basically charging ourselves for those business districts. So I think what we're trying to do is to weigh all that and to really focus on what's important. I think, as Alderman Holmes mentioned, banners sometimes are special, and I think we're getting away from special banners. And if we could try to focus more on special banners, focus on a way that they're not up 12 months of the year, because quite honestly, the banners don't do very well that second 6 months of the year. So I think, Madam Chair, we've gotten some additional feedback. I think we're ready to come with a formal policy in a meeting or two. But our concern really has been all the things stated, that we're concerned about the cost, we're concerned about the wear and tear, we're concerned about the specialness. Evanston's, Green Bay, Ridge are lovely streets without banners. Some communities have to put banners up because they don't have lovely streets. We have lovely streets. And I think we're trying to weigh all those things at the same time, allowing, as Alderman Rainey said, that economic development is a big piece of this. And we have business districts that we fund through economic development dollars to make the banners. We still want to make sure they're up. So I think Alderman Rainey, Director Robinson, I think we've gotten good feedback. I think we'll be ready to come back with a proposal for this committee and then the full council to hear, and then we'll start with a new cycle after the first of 2014.
But we can't be spending over $200 a poll. That makes no sense whatsoever. Alderman Holmes.
Well, I want to make two comments. First, in terms of banners, and I guess we're probably the only ward that has banners, and we used to take them down every 6 months, but we found out the cost of having the staff take them down, so that's why they've been left up, and we haven't had any new ones in a long time. But we are more than happy to take all of our banners down as soon as we get the signage, so that we can get the signs in our block clubs and for our blocks, so that we can have that. So if you all will work really hard and get that done, I'm happy to have banners taken down.
What's the story with the signs? Let's find out right now. Where are the signs? Who's in charge?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, we are coming to the end of some focus groups that were held over the last 6 weeks or so on the banner designs. We'll be coming back to transportation and parking shortly.
Excellent.
And if I may add on to that, I think another opportunity will be the business districts. And I think we heard from one of them, if it was Dempster, Chicago Dempster, I think, had part of their plan was to have signs based on that. If we can get away from banners in some of the business districts and go with the signs, then they're 12-month a year. Then you take that off the table, and then I think maybe you're back to special events, and it's anniversaries, new institutions like Erie Family Health, or if Northwestern's having an anniversary, Rotary, the hospitals. So we'll go back to that and perhaps come back also with an update on where we are with the sign project.
And the signs specifically for business districts or neighborhoods would be on current poles, existing poles?
That is the
But-
plan. But they would be
yeah.
metal,
Yeah, and you-
not unlike the 150 signs we put up. You're able to print out the decals in whatever format you like, and I think that's what we're shooting for. So that would certainly, from a wear and tear standpoint, the cost of installation is a much preferred than the banners.
I think that was a great suggestion that you made. Okay, so Director Robinson, you will take this. Anything else, Alderman Braithwaite? No? Anything else? All right. Motion to adjourn? Second. Are we finished yet? Okay. Oh, P&D starts at 7:15.
7 or 7:15?
7:15, I think, doesn't it? 7:15.